Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope and my team selection video for Game Week 2 of FPL. Game Week 1 was a bit of a disappointment for my team, especially with 47 points. So I'm going to talk about my Game Week 1 score and my regrets from my Game Week 1 selection as well. We're also going to take a look at the free hit team I selected for Game Week 1 and see how that did comparatively to my own squad. We're also going to make a free hit squad for Game Week 2 as well for anyone on a free hit this week. I know a couple of people are, so it's always going to be nice to make a free hit team, and that's what I'm going to do every single game week of this season as well. And Game Week 3, I'm actually looking to free hit myself, so that's going to be really interesting for next game week especially. But finally, in this video today, I'm going to take a look at my Game Week 2 plans as well and see what I will do for this upcoming game week, where I think captaincy is going to be the main talking point really for my team and what I'm going to do, because this is the sort of week where you should just relax a little bit unless you have like any pressing injury issues or like any players you picked that are duds. Like if you had Isak, for example, or something like that, you didn't pay attention and you have like a dud like that, then maybe you should probably make a transfer if that's the case. But if you are like me and just had a couple disappointing players, I think you should just keep the faith, because it's only been one game week really so far. But it was a pretty bad game week nonetheless for me. Game week 1, 47 points in total. I can start in goal with Matsels, 2 points, conceded really late, which I don't think it was that bad. I think Nottingham Forest actually looked better than I expected them to be, but they conceded a late penalty where if Sels had saved that, I actually would have had a decent game week most likely, and that shows you just how volatile it can be in terms of having a good or a bad game week. If Sels saves that penalty, he keeps his clean sheet most likely. That's 4 extra points. It's a penalty save, that's 5 extra points, so that's 9 points in total. Probably get some bonus points as well on top of that, maybe 3 even, and that would make sure I would get 12 extra points, and 59 points would actually be a pretty decent score if I was finished with Game Week 1 and had 59 points. I'd be pretty happy with that, all things considered. But he conceded, got 2 points in the end. Sadly for me, Gabriel Magalhaes got 6 points, got a clean sheet, pretty lucky one against Man United, but you take what you can get at least. Anderson got 2 points, was close to getting defensive contribution numbers there, got 8 defensive contributions in the end, Anderson, but didn't keep a clean sheet and only got 2 points in the end. Al Haji Malik Diouf for West Ham was really close to scoring. Sad times that I didn't do that, because I would have made the game a lot different for West Ham as well. And also, of course, Diouf's score in the end, which was only 1 point. Mohamed Salah, my captain, got a late goal, which made him get a bonus point as well. So 8 points in total, 16 points as my captain for Salah. Happy with that, all things considered. Palmer and Rodgers, really disappointing with 3 points each. I think both Chelsea and Aston Villa looked a lot more lackluster going forward than what I expected, but they did also have kind of tricky fixtures, and they will get better fixtures from now on. So yeah, I think they'll be good to go going forward as well, the former City prospects. Speaking of Man City, Tijani Reinders was the big man that we needed to have in Game Week 1. Really happy that I had him in my squad and started him, of course, with 10 points there for Reinders, who was absolutely amazing for Man City. I wish I had more Man City assets, but having Reinders at least is somewhere where I want to be, because yeah, it seems like 3 City assets will be pretty nice to have eventually this season. Gyökeres, really disappointing in Game Week 1 with only 1 point, got subbed off after 59 minutes after a pretty lackluster debut, all things considered. Man United looked pretty good. Arsenal looked pretty weak. Arsenal did get the points in the end, which is what matters in Premier League, but in FPL, not the best for Gyökeres, but there are some positive signs with him as well. Havertz is injured, so that means Gyökeres will get more playing time as a striker most likely, and there's also heavily rumors that he's going to be the penalty take for Arsenal this season, so Game Week 2 against Leeds will be a do or die type of situation for Gyökeres. He needs to perform in that game week, I think, for him to have a life beyond Game Week 3 really, because I'm free hitting in Game Week 3. Gyökeres. Bowen as well, kind of on thin ice. The first game against Sunderland was where I was hoping he'd get points. He only got 2 points, sadly. Not happy with that. And Mateta, I still have some hopes for. He did score now against Fredrikstad in the Europa League or the Conference League qualifiers, I should say. Which means that he is actually in goal scoring form, and hopefully he can kick on and be really good, even without SA there in the team for Palace. On the bench, Dubravka, King, Richards, and Agbadu. Richards actually got some points from a clean sheet for Palace against Chelsea. Did not expect that, so he was on the bench. King was a really nice surprise. He played as the number 10 for Fulham, played a lot of minutes as well, and looked really good. So he's someone that I'm really happy that I have currently. And Agbadu is someone that was always a future signing as well. Against City in the first game week, I did not expect him to get anything. That's why he was third bench. Dubravka on the bench with 2 points. He could come into play in Game Week 2. We'll talk more about that in the Game Week 2 part of this video basically. When it comes to my Game Week 1 regrets, I think the City thing is the most regretful thing I have. I just wish I would have gone with the alternate hold-on draft that I did make in the team selection video for Game Week 1. I did have like an alternate thing where I sold, was it Mateta? I think it was Mateta and Gyökeres out for Gyu and Haaland, and then recuperating some money as well, going from Gabriel to Esteve, I think, and then also going from King to Dewsbury Hall, which I think like the last thing was probably not Dewsbury Hall. I'm not sure if he's going to be that much better than King anyway, but having Haaland would have helped for this game week or for this season really, because it seems like Man City are really, really good, and I would really like to have Haaland as well, but I can't really get him initially. But at least for my free hitting game week 3, I can bring him in for one more game week, and then in game week 5 or 6 I can probably bring him in permanently as well, which was always the plan really from the start of the season. But yeah, City players look really good, so I wish I had those guys. Gyökeres as well is another player that I was tempted by but didn't go for. I don't have any Chelsea cover in defense at all, and I really like Gyökeres, especially above Sanchez. I think he's a more secure and better pick than Sanchez, all things considered. He is a bit more expensive, of course, but he's going to get some attacking returns on top of that. So yeah, Gyökeres is someone that I wish I had. I almost went for Frimpong over Gabriel, which would have been really bad, because I would have had even less points, because Frimpong was subbed off early and now he's injured. So at least I didn't do that for so yeah, I don't have that regret of going with Gabriel over Frimpong at least. But yeah, overall I think my team is looking still pretty decent. One game week is not defining the whole season, and I can easily strike back in the next few game weeks. I also have 0.5 in the bank, so I'm pretty well set for future transfers if I need to do a transfer and sell a player and buy someone at the same price. If I want to sell Mateta and buy like a 7.5 striker that has returned and done really well in game week 2 and gone up in price, I can still do that without losing money, for example. That's just one of the examples I can do. Also, like if Gyökeres goes up in price, I can sell Gabriel to Gyökeres. You get the drill really, because I have the extra 0.5 in the bank, which I'd really like to have from the start of the season. So yeah, that was my game week 1. Not the best start. I hope to get to a higher rank eventually, but it is only one game week. There's a lot of random players that have scored a lot of points that you don't expect to, and opposite as well. Like some players that you really expected to kick on and be really good going forward that didn't get any points in game week 1 as well. So yeah. But anyways, let's take a look at my free hit suggestion for game week 1. Obviously, you can't free hit in game week 1, but I said this in my team selection video for game week 1 as well, that this was just like in case someone wanted to wildcard in game week 2, for example, and have like the best possible team for game week 1, then this following team that I'm going to show to you is what I would have selected. Let's see if it did better than my own game week 1 score. Hopefully it did, but we'll see. So yeah, it did actually do better than my own team, but not by much. 53 points rather than 47, because the main thing about this team is the fact that it doesn't have Tijani Reinders. Probably should have had him rather than Ndiaye. That would have helped a lot. 8 more points would have been really nice. But all in all, at least I had some Spurs defensive cover. That's something that I also kind of wish I had for my own team. But at the same time, I'm not so sure about Spurs defensively. I think Burnley, who are probably the worst team in the league at Spurs' home ground, had some chances to score in that game. So yeah, I don't know long term if the Spurs defensive assets are good, but at least they got a clean sheet in game week 1 for anyone that had them. Pickford in goal as well. Everton conceded against Leeds really late, almost saved the penalty as well. Sort of the same thing as with Cells, a late penalty that took away the clean sheet and could have been a penalty save. So almost good, but in the end, 2 points, which is not that much at all. Frimpong, like I just mentioned previously, really unlucky to get subbed off 30 seconds before he played the 60 minutes. And then Liverpool conceded anyways after that. But if he had been subbed off right after 60 minutes, he would have had the clean sheet points locked in as well. So that would have been really nice for him. Diouf was in my team. Salah was in my team. Palmer's in my team. I talked about them already. NDI as well. Everton just looked really lackluster. This is kind of why I was against having NDI as like a main player, like in my own team, because I didn't really trust him or Everton that much offensively. But yeah, I think they can do better eventually, but for game week 1 he was not a good choice at all. Ekitike though was a really good choice for game week 1. I had faith in him because he is going to be really good from the start of the season. It's just the looming thing of Alexander Isak probably joining Liverpool at some point, potentially. We'll see what happens with that saga, but as long as Isak is not in the team, Ekitike is going to be a fantastic pick. So I think for game week 4, which is after the transfer deadline, if Isak hasn't joined Liverpool, Ekitike is going to be the main man to get. And he got 11 points in the first game week, really showed his worth and showing that he is worth being a starting striker for Liverpool. Like, I don't really get why Isak is such a high priority for them when they have other parts of their team that could strengthen rather than striker. But yeah, Watkins, 2 points, disappointing game week 1, but at least that didn't hurt me in my own team because I didn't have him and he was really highly owned. But that's usually Watkins in game week 1. He struggles in game week 1 for some reason. I played against Newcastle as well, really tough game, so I don't really begrudge him getting no points. And Bowen, like I said previously, really disappointing. Was hoping to get more points from him against Sunderland. Overall, basically. On the bench, Darlow didn't play at all for Leeds, but that's something that Goodmanson did. He got 9 points on my bench, so I wish I had started him, but he was basically just like a throwaway bench player. But 9 points from him, really nice value. King as well. Potts, these are all like super bargain min players that I just had on the bench in total, basically. But 53 points. Again, not the best start to the free hit team either. But yeah, I'm going to continue doing this, making a free hit team for every single game week. And that is also true for game week 2. And you'll get to see my suggestion for the free hit team for game week 2 right now. So this is my suggestion, as you can see on your screen. If you're not seeing this on your screen, if you're listening to this either through the video or through like a podcast or something like that, podcast service, I should say, then I'll go through the team for you one by one, starting with the goalkeeper, which is going to be Emi Martinez for Aston Villa. He's back from suspension now, playing against Brentford, who looked really bad offensively or just in general in game week 1. I think Aston Villa have a decent chance of getting a clean sheet here, and Martinez is someone that is a really nice differential for this game as well. With Konsa, who is the main Aston Villa player, out. Ian Maatsen didn't even play at left back, so not that many people have Aston Villa defenders at all, and I think that's going to be a bit of a down thing against Brentford, because I think Aston Villa have a pretty good chance of getting a clean sheet here overall. I also think Arsenal have a decent chance of getting a clean sheet against Leeds. Leeds did look pretty impressive against Everton, but at the same time they needed a penalty, kind of dubious one at that, to get a goal against Everton. So I think Arsenal have a really good chance of keeping a clean sheet against Leeds, and Gabriel could just always score from a corner or something like that. They had another corner move that they did score against Man United on, so I do think they have been in the lab now, Arsenal, to have some other ways to get Gabriel free for scoring headers in that team. So yeah, he could easily score in game 2 as well. Cucurella, I think, is just a really good player who plays like super attacking. Both him and Munoz, actually, the two other defensive picks I've chosen here. Decent games. Cucurella's game is really good. West Ham looked really bad in the first game week. Munoz playing against Nottingham Forest, who aren't the best offensively, even though they played really well against Brentford. Both those players have chances of getting clean sheets, and they're also super attacking and playing almost like wingers or almost as strikers at some point as well in the game. So yeah, really like the look of both of them, so they're both in the team. Saka is the vice captain here, actually. Playing against Leeds at home, I think he's going to be a really good asset for Game Week 2. That's probably why you have him. Man United in Game Week 1 was always going to be a bit tough. Game Week 2 against Leeds is where you need to get your money's worth from Saka. So yeah, maybe he can kick on and do well in this game week. Semenyo was fantastic in Game Week 1. Has a much easier fixture now, on paper at least, in Wolves at home. So I think that's a pretty good player to choose as well for Game Week 2. He's also someone that you could look to transfer in as well for Game Week 2. But again, I would probably just advise to keep your transfers and have more ways, more flexibility in Game Week 3 with transfers instead. Tijani Reinders gets renewed interest, renewed faith in his in FPL because of his really amazing Game Week 1. I do expect him to once again play as a number 10, playing against Spurs, which didn't look too good against Burnley, honestly. So I think Reinders is going to be pretty good again. Adingra, I think Sunderland are going to be a better team than Burnley this season, and I think Adingra is like one of the main guys from Sunderland, so I think he's going to be actually a really good asset this season overall. He looked really good against West Ham, got an assist, and I think he can get more points in Game Week 2 as well. So Adingra I really like as the fourth midfielder here in this setup. And also, that saves me a bit of money, which means that I can have 3 really expensive and really good strikers this game week. Haaland, which would be my captain against Spurs. I do expect Spurs to set up a lot more defensively. It is really game state dependent. If City score early, then this is going to be a goal fest, I think, for Man City, and I think that could be the case. But if Spurs manage to keep a clean sheet or potentially even take the lead here, it could be a tough day for Haaland at the office, really. So yeah, but anyways, I think the upside here is just too high to ignore. At home, in their first home games, they looked electric in the first game as well. Spurs looked pretty shaky defensively, I think, even though they did keep a clean sheet. It was against Burnley. So I think Haaland's going to be the best captaincy choice overall this game week. But it is pretty close. I think Saka's really good. I think also Gyökeres is really good. He's the other player that I have as a potential captaincy choice in this team. Playing against Leeds at home is obviously a decent fixture, even though Leeds looked pretty impressive in the first game week. I think it's going to be a huge test for Arsenal, and they will really want to kick on and show that they are better than what they managed to show on the pitch, at least against Man United. But at least they got 3 points. That's what matters. We'll see if they can get 3 points against Leeds as well, and I think Gyökeres will be the main man to get those, apart from Saka, of course, but on penalties potentially, and also playing more minutes, hopefully, with Howard's out. I think Gyökeres couldn't do business against Leeds as well. Ollie Watkins against his former club, Brentford. That's usually a good time for Watkins. He's also going to be a really good, he's just a really good player overall, so I think he has pretty good high potential to score in Game Week 2 as well, so just keep the faith if you have Watkins in your team. I think he's going to score in Game Week 2, personally. Then on the bench, I have Petrovic in goal from Bournemouth, just in case Martinez doesn't play, because Bissot played a pretty good game for Aston Villa in the first game. Martinez is sort of on his way out, so who knows if he's even going to start. I just want to have a backup goalkeeper just in case, and I think Petrovic is the best of the bunch for 4.5 at least. Playing against Wolves at home, which is an okay fixture at least. Reinildo as well from Sunderland. I do have more faith in Sunderland than Burnley, so that's the keeper that I've gone for rather than going with a Burnley keeper. I have Adingra as well, so I didn't want to have Dubravka as my backup goalkeeper, because I do hope Adingra plays and scores in the free hits regard at least, because with my own team it might be a different story. But anyways, Esteve as well, another player that's really popular who I would bench here, because I do think Gabriel, Gyökeres and Munoz just offer higher upside, of course, with the offensive capabilities that they have, and also Gabriel in just playing for Arsenal, playing for a better team against Leeds. That's also pretty self-explanatory. Josh King against Fulham as well gets renewed faith as just like the backup 4.5 midfielder. He has a chance to show himself really from his best side against Man United this game week, and potentially be in the squad starting in Game Week 3 and Game Week 4 potentially. So yeah. When it comes to my favorite picks, I've sort of done a bit of a change from last week. Last week I just did the favorite picks, but you can see already that my vice captain and captain are my favorite picks from midfield. Saka's my favorite midfielder. Haaland's my favorite forward from this game week. So I wanted to pick someone other than the obvious ones that are captains. And my favorite forward outside of Haaland, my favorite forward between Gyökeres and Watkins is actually Gyökeres, just because of the upside. I think Arsenal potentially could score a lot of goals against Leeds. I think Brentford are going to be slightly better this game week. For their case, I hope that they have some of their players back. Damsgaard didn't play last game. Schade didn't start last game as well. They have some issues, Brentford, so maybe they'll be back playing better against Aston Villa this game week. But yeah, I think Gyökeres is a great player. He's my favorite forward. Semenyo is my favorite midfielder out of the last three, Reinders and Adingra. He's the more expensive one, so that makes sense. And Gabriel is my favorite defender overall, just because of the fixture. I think Leeds just have a bit of a striker problem in general, so they're going to struggle to score, and I think Arsenal can keep a clean sheet, and I think Gabriel could potentially get some attacking returns potentially as well from corners. So yeah, that's pretty much the free hit team and my favorite players from each position. Now the only thing we have left for this video is taking a look at my Game Week 2 plans and seeing what I'm going to do with my own team. So obviously I don't have Saka or Haaland in my own team. I only had 5 or 4 players even. Let's go back to the free draft. I only had 4 players from the free draft in my actual team. So yeah, I don't have the best picks for this game week, but I still think my team is looking decent enough. In goal, I've actually gone with Dubravka over Sels, and that is basically just down to trying to maximizing the points, because I am playing Mateta and Richards for that matter for Palace against Nottingham Forest. I'm hoping for a Palace win against Nottingham Forest, and if that's the case, I'm hoping that Sels concedes. And if I'm hoping he concedes, I'm hoping that he gets low points potentially as well, because I don't want him saving penalties from Mateta either. So I'm just going to pick Dubravka just to go with like the optimal play. Like optimally, I have clean sheet points from Dubravka and I get scoring points from Mateta, and everything is good. I could hedge my bets and have Sels, and then I can have either Sels or Mateta getting points, but I want to play more upside, like with more upside in mind, rather than playing it safe and having like 2 from each team where you can't possibly get like a super high score anyways. Gabriel, obviously easy choice since he was in my free team. Anderson as well, I think he has a really good chance of getting defensive contribution points in this game, potentially also a clean sheet, but I think Man United look really good in Game Week 1, so I do expect him to score against Fulham, but Anderson has decent chance of, or like an okay chance of getting a clean sheet, and really good chances of getting defensive contribution points as well, playing at home, which is where he usually gets his defensive contribution points in total. Richards as well from Crystal Palace. He did keep a clean sheet against Chelsea, which was really impressive. Chelsea away, he kept a clean sheet. And he also got 8 defensive contributions, I think. So he's also close to getting those defensive contribution points, which is why I've picked him, sort of. Playing Nottingham Forest at home, I think that should be a decent game week for Richards to potentially get some extra points on top of having a clean sheet, hopefully, for me in Game Week 2. Salah is my vice captain currently. I say that sort of begrudgingly because Salah is someone that I always like to pick whenever I have the chance to. But I think Newcastle are just pretty set on defending and doing that really well. They have a really good midfield. They have a really settled and good defense as well. So I think they're going to be hard to break down. At the same time, Salah didn't look at his best in Game Week 1 either. So yeah, maybe I'm going to go against him. But he seems like the more safe pick than Gyökeres, because we know Salah just usually performs. Even if he has a bad game, he's probably going to score in injury time anyways. So he is someone that is tempting me in interest of captaincy. It would be the safer pick, but I sort of want to chase the upside this early in the season, as I'm still hoping for potentially going super high in the FPL rankings this season, even though it's not looking good so far. Palmer against West Ham, just have to keep him really. That's one of the simplest games of the season, especially for Palmer. He destroyed West Ham both games, I think, last season, or he got 1 assist in the final game and got like a goal and an assist in the first game of the season against West Ham. So yeah, should be a good fixture for Palmer. This is like sort of do or die for him. I think he is going to be sold pretty early if it doesn't perform straight away. So yeah, he has a big chance against West Ham to perform now and prove that he is someone worth keeping, really. Rodgers, I do have more faith in against Brentford. I think the better fixtures start now, because I think Newcastle was actually a pretty tough fixture in Game Week 1, even though it's usually a high-scoring game. It wasn't this time because Newcastle were really good defensively. But Rodgers against Brentford, I think, is a decent shout as well. Pretty close to Watkins, but I think Watkins against his former team sort of has that more storyline type of goal in him, where he usually scores against Brentford anyway. So yeah, but Rodgers is still a really good pick. Could potentially assist Watkins or could get some goals as well. I think he's a really good pick still. I don't really lose faith in Rodgers, and he's at a pretty good price at 7.0 anyways. So he's not someone that I urgently need to score either. Reinders, amazing again, getting his chance again, as he was also on my free hit team. He's an easy selection for my standard team. Same with Gyökeres as well, who's my captain currently, just because of the potential upside. I do want to chase that upside with Gyökeres, especially also with Havertz being out. That is like the main thing. I was actually on Salah as captain until the news of Havertz being out, but that means Gyökeres will play more minutes and hopefully also get a penalty or score in some other way. Maybe a couple goals, that would be really nice. So yeah, he's currently my captain. Not quite sure, but I think I'm leaning, like I'm like 65-60% ish certain it's going to be Gyökeres. Otherwise, it would be Salah, I think, over Palmer. I think Palmer's a decent shout, but I think Salah's just a safer guy for me overall. But yeah, Palmer against West Ham, probably famous last words against my favorite team. I would expect him to do well, so he could also be good in this game week as well. Bowen, speaking of the Chelsea-West Ham fixture, West Ham play at home to Chelsea this game week. Bowen will get another chance to prove himself. I think he has a decent chance of scoring in this game as well. I don't think this fixture is like that much worse than Sunderland. Of course, it's a better team, better defensive team. West Ham will be underdogs in this game, but maybe that will suit West Ham and Bowen better. So we'll see what happens there with Bowen. He is sort of on thin ice, but I think he could potentially score as well, because he usually is a pretty good and consistent FPL player overall. Mateta, I think, has a decent chance against Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest looked pretty good in Game Week 1, but I think Palace are as good, if not better, than Nottingham Forest, and this will be a sort of a grudge match after Nottingham Forest were one of the main drivers of Crystal Palace getting basically punished and not going to the Europa League, but going to the Conference League instead this season. So yeah, I think Mateta has a decent chance to score in that game as well. On the bench, Sells as my goalkeeper. I prefer the Barca just because of the maximizing of the points, but I think if I didn't have Mateta as my striker, I probably would lean towards Sells, I think, because Nottingham Forest looked better than Burnley defensively in Game Week 1 for sure. Josh King against Man United at home, decent player to have on the bench. Agbadou and Diouf, not quite sure about the bench order there, but I don't think it's going to matter anyway. But I quite like Agbadou's chances of getting defensive contribution points. We just saw Van Dijk have 21 defensive contributions against Bournemouth, so I can imagine Agbadou getting at least 10 for this game. So he could get those defensive contribution points, could get the clean sheet as well. But I do think Anderson and Richards are just better picks, so I'm going to have Anderson on the bench. Diouf against Chelsea. Tough fixture overall. You'd expect West Ham to concede, but I could also see Diouf scoring in that game as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my team overall. Pretty happy with the team. 0.5 in the bank. Not happy with my rank, but I could always change in Game Week 2, like I've said a couple times now. And I think I'm going to go with Gyökeres as captain. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the Game Week 2 plans video, or the team selection for Game Week 2 video. I hope you enjoyed it and all that stuff. Please comment down below if you have any questions about Game Week 2 that you want answered, any Like, for example, my podcast co-host Kevin has Frimpong in his team, so he needs to make a decision with him. And with Kevin's team, I think I told him just to play Estev for this game week, and then game week 3, I think free hit is like the best plan as well. So I think that's an easy way that makes free hit 3 even more, or free 3 even more viable, because you can still get those funds away from Frimpong and use it on someone else for game week 3, and then get it back for game week 4 when he's fit and healthy to play against Burnley. So yeah, I think that's probably the best case for what to do with Frimpong in your team. But I do think also selling him for Gyökeres or Gabriel is also another viable strategy. Or down to Dorgu, I think is also a really good pick as well, if you don't want to free hitting game week 3 especially. So yeah, that is some quick thoughts as well at the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it again. See you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.